Okay, hello everybody. My name is Ashit Makhija, and welcome to you on this call in these unusual times. So we have this is a webinar which we're doing on Windows Virtual Desktop, and I'm representing Techjockey and SISL here, and I will explain what are these two organizations about. So we're doing this jointly with Microsoft. Microsoft was nice enough to agree to doing this webinar along with us because we are pretty convinced that this is one of the key solutions which can be used for all of us in these times. I have a couple of slides which I will cover in about 5 minutes, and then I will hand over to Parampreet. So just to introduce, from Microsoft, we have Parampreet and Parampreet Singh Baveja, and we also have Ravi Chawla. They are working closely with us and enabling us and helping us in taking all these important solutions to all of you. Um, so as I said, these are times which are calling for very unprecedented ways of working, and I'm sure a lot of us have understood remote working more deeply. Many organizations were not working remotely earlier, and for them it is a new experience. And while some of us will be somewhere in the middle, have worked in the past and trying to now once again get back to the same way of working remotely. So as far as this agenda is concerned, we will identify some ways in which we can further help our teams to be more productive. What are the tools and specific tools that we will discuss here, which is virtual Windows desktop, Windows Virtual Desktop, and how is it that tool can help teams be more productive, provide a virtualized desktop infrastructure to the teams and ensure that it happens in a seamless way for them. There's no drop in the experience that they have on their standard infrastructure. And how is it that we as a team, which is Techjockey and Microsoft, can work and provide the solution to you? So as I said, remote working is something which is becoming a new normal, and I think we're all experiencing that in different ways and different formats. But then this definitely comes with its own challenges. If you,
Sir,
I
voice is
think,
not coming.
sorry, did you say anything, Raghav? Did you say anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Can you hear me clearly? I think somebody maybe.
Yeah, Ashit, we can hear you.
Okay, I'll continue. Uh, so that's, as I said, any new tools which we use, any new solutions which we deploy, they cannot be at incrementally higher cost. In fact, they have to be at an incrementally lower cost because at these times, we're all saving costs, revenues are limited, profitabilities are stretched. Uh, um, the other thing is that the tools which are used should be definitely simple and easy to use. They should be able to run seamlessly across the desktop and the applications. So and the teams should provide simplified security and not add another added area of concern from a security perspective. And of course, the access should be controlled and access should be role based. So we will be talking about Windows Virtual Desktop. As I said, Param will take us through that. The format will be that I'll hand over to Param after two more slides which I have, and the Param will have a presentation followed by a demonstration by Lalit from SISL/TechJockey. And they will be both be talking about Windows Virtual Desktop, which is a Microsoft Azure-based system. WVD virtualizes the Windows operating system and provides a virtualized desktop and applications environment in the cloud, and that's what we'll be discussing. Uh, Talking about SISL Infotech, and I'll soon talk about Techjockey also. SISL Infotech is the where the group company originated from. So SISL Infotech is about 8 years old. We have been one of the largest system integrators in the country, working very closely with many organizations in the corporate space, in the enterprise space, a large number of organizations in the government space. So we have done a very uh, we have been on the cutting edge of technologies, tied up with most of the important OEMs in the marketplace, and have the ability to provide skills through a large technical team which we have skilled on all these OEM solutions. Very complex implementations done for many customers across the country. I would love to talk about that in a different forum. We have so we are currently representing Techjockey, which is a group company. Techjockey is apart from handling a lot of enterprise and commercial customers, which is non-government customers like yours. We have we also have an e-commerce platform. This platform is basically it lists thousands of software solution providers. It could be anything from a O365 to a tally accounting software to a petrol pump management software or a jewelry shop management software. So very large number of these softwares which are there, and we provide a platform for for um, for organizations like yours to talk to our specialist and understand what is the best fitment for them, and arrive do get some demos done, and arrive at the best solution, and also enable the procurement process through the e-commerce platform that we have. So that's the e-commerce, that's the web jockey, techjockey.com. I would very strongly encourage all of you to have a look at that. Um it has a very large set of visitors. More than 1.5 lakh visitors who are regularly visiting this platform. Thousands of OEMs who have registered thousands of their products. So again, the entire operation is supported by a large technical team, which is there skilled across various technologies. This is where I will hand over to Param for starting the presentation on the virtual Windows desktop, which is the topic of the day. Param, over to you.
Thanks, Ashit. Let me know if once you're able to see my screen, please, the presentation.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thanks. So hi, good morning, everyone. This is Parampreet. I am a specialist for Azure Apps and Infra at Microsoft India. We've been talking, and as Ashit briefly discussed about the setup. So I'll just go through and spend 10 minutes on helping you understand what exactly is Windows Virtual Desktop and how it can cater to a lot of virtualization scenarios and remote work scenarios, which you as an organization might be wanting to explore in the current state of affairs, where if not more, but then at least companies are looking at 2 to 3 months minimum of remote work scenarios for their workforce. So all of you know about virtualization. Virtualization, helps companies address specific business needs. It kind of provides you more secure access to your data, organizational resources. Compliance with industry regulations like, say, FSI, healthcare, government is another important aspect which you can attain through virtualization. So an increasingly elastic workforce, you've seen a lot of mergers and acquisitions happening. Your short-term employees, contractual employees, and employee-specific needs which are coming in. For example, many employees are now moving on, and many customers are moving on to BYOD and BYO, bring your own mobile kind of scenarios. There's a mobile staff, more call centers are there, a lot of branch workers are there, and for some specific specialized workloads, for example, like companies who are using a lot of design and engineering applications like AutoCAD, like Photoshop, for example, a lot of legacy apps, a lot of companies have. And say if you have a company, if you are in IT services or product development, you will have a lot of very big, software development and testing team. So all of these are scenarios where virtualization is necessary in the current times. And if you see all these four buckets specifically, you will agree that all of them require some secure access to the devices, so that the auditing processes, the compliances are met, and you as an organization can function as you were functioning at your office premises a month ago. So Windows Virtual Desktop actually helps in this scenario. Your employees stay as productive with a virtualized experience on a PC or on a tablet or on a browser as they are with a physical PC sitting right in front of them. You actually simplify your management, provisioning, and access to corporate data and applications. And you can actually support your customers as migrate as they migrate to the cloud. And plus, I'll talk about that. WVD also allows you to reduce costs and resources associated with managing on-premises infrastructure, and actually empowers you from an IT standpoint to transform your workplace so that you can comfortably work in a remote scenario over the next 3 to 6 months time frame. Going forward, so what is WVD? So just imagine a central application suite. So I'll take an example. Say you have a set of developers, say 100 or 200 developers who are sitting at your office and who have desktop access at your office space, and they are doing product development. They're using simple Visual Studio, maybe Outlook email, and maybe a couple of more applications which are necessarily, say for example GitHub or Eclipse, or these 4 or 5 applications. Now how about if you want to enable them, all of them, to work from home and then also access your office infrastructure, or office network. So WVD is a solution for that. So what we'll do is that, yeah, so WVD allows you both desktop as well as application virtualization. So for each of these 200 users, you can decide that, I want to give each user be kind of a compute and RAM machine. I'll not say a machine, a RAM session. Or you can decide that, I have these 5 applications, and these 5 applications I'll host as a golden image at a central place, which is Azure. And all these 200 users will be able to access that golden image. And this setup actually works on the basis of concurrency. Hence, you save a lot of cost, and because all these applications are actually hosted on Azure, and it is not a simple, it's not an insecure VPN access only which is being provided. So the complete data which is being accessed by your team is actually encrypted on the way, and you have control as an administrator to integrate this access and role based scenarios with your Active Directory. So, so being an administrator, you can actually extend your on-premises AD into the WVD environment, and from there you can actually control which user gets which access. So you can define this is an administrator, this is a team manager, this is a developer, this is a tester, and accordingly you can assign images, application access to them. And you can also control whether that person is able to copy from his desktop, whether he is able to kind of say use a CD-ROM machine, whether he's able to do perform certain other functions, take screenshots. Everything can be controlled as an administrator. So to sum it up, Windows 10 and Office 365 both are actually kept up to date using Office 365. WVD is the only way in which you can actually provide a multi-session Windows 10 experience. You have the facility to provide optimization for Office 365 Pro Plus. And at the end, through Office 365 Pro Plus, you have a facility to kind of provide a cloud connected management, powered by Intune and Configuration Manager, which provides the most productive and most secure computing experience for your users, while lowering the total cost of ownership and reducing complexity for you as an administrator to control this environment. Let's take a look at each of these benefits. The last line over here is again very important. You can actually deploy and scale this in minutes. So when I say scale it up, so for example, you can as of today define that I have 50 users or 200 users, and the overall compute which is required for them is say a 32 core 64 GB RAM. And tomorrow, if your team increases or decreases, this is a pay per user kind of an offering, right? So it gives you the right flexibility to deploy to increase the user base as and when required within minutes. Going forward, so as I said, this is the only offering available as on date which actually provides you a multi-session Windows 10 experience. And when I say multi-session, the second use case was what I was referring to, that you can actually deploy a golden image on a Windows 10 operating system and actually allow your team to access a multi-session setup for Windows 10 so that they can have a same golden image accessed across by all these 200 people or howsoever high the number of your team members are. So this can go up to 10,000 also. And you can actually and they can get access to the highly secure Windows 10 environment, which is virtualized and highly scalable. The second piece is that for Office 365 Pro Plus, you can actually deliver the best experience with multi-session virtual scenarios. So you can deploy Office 365 Pro Plus in your central golden image, and it will provide the actual multi-session virtual experience to your users, which is very similar to what you give as an access to them, say through some other Office 365 plan in at your office spaces. The RDS is currently not required. Say, for example, if you have a remote desktop service which is already running on premises, so WVD allows you to utilize the same license and actually use that to provide WVD access to your end users. So this is more from a licensing perspective, which allows you to use an existing Windows Server RDS desktop if you already have procured it on premises. Deployment and scalability. I told you that you can deploy and scale this in minutes. And also good thing is that Azure has data centers available across 54 regions in the across the globe. So you don't need to worry about where your customer is located or where your say development team is located. You can choose a Azure region which is very close to that particular location and actually deploy the overall setup at that particular data center, and you are up and running in minutes and at a region which is very close to where you want it to be hosted, and hence it provides you the best possible and the minimum possible latency also. I'll talk about the security. I told you about the security and compliance piece. Active Directory acts as a single identity plane for controlling the overall environment. Hence, your role-based access control is completely secured and mapped to your ADDNS, which is existing in your setup. That is one. Second, because it is hosted on Azure, so all the compliances, say for example, a lot of you might be in healthcare industry, finance industry, so Azure already is compliant to almost every single compliance which exists across industries, across geographies. From say, for example, finance industry, PCI DSS, FedRAMP, FedRA, all of these are compliances which you already by default get as soon as you host your setups on Azure. Similarly, for healthcare, for example, HIPAA compliance is a mandate for a lot of healthcare organizations. So that is you get the ready to ready auditable compliance as soon as you host on Azure. And the third piece is that your data which is stored and which is in transit is completely encrypted using a 256 bit encryption key. And so that is another. So from a security aspect, just consider this and compare this with say a secondary scenario where you could be opening up multiple ports and providing a VPN connectivity to all of your employees. That is very insecure. You over here you don't require to open any networking ports. It is very secure and hence provides you a secure environment to operate into. Talking about the licensing piece, as I told you, so this requires you to have a Windows 10 end client OS license, and I will leave it to later phase to when we'll do some analysis. We can do and present a complete ROI comparison to you as to how much will this cost, or if you have some kind of a M365 E3 or E5 plan, you would already have that license with you. From a server base, I already told you that if you have a RDS CAL license with active software assurance, you'll be able to use WVD. Also, a good thing is that you can take an example and take the facility of reserving your instance. Say, for example, you have a setup, say in a manufacturing setup where you need a remote desktop access or a WBD access for more than 20 hours a day. So we have models available commercially where we can reserve those VM instances for you and help you reduce your cost by 30 to 40% right away. Coming to the next one, so this is really important. Many of you would have heard about Citrix and VMware being, on-premise players for virtualization. Yes, they are, and they are Microsoft partners. So Citrix and VMware provide you virtualization scenarios and hybrid cloud support on the ground. And they are very common names in an on-premises setup. So Citrix is now partnering with Microsoft WVD, and they are hosting their setup on WVD for scenarios which actually are very compute intensive. For example, say some design applications like AutoCAD or Photoshop, or very heavy ERP applications. So we or some applications where say you need to render some videos on a remote desktop. So we partner with both Citrix and VMware on that. So over here, you actually get a hybrid cloud support from Citrix. You get the facility of enterprise management and monitoring for your WVD through the Citrix management plane. Simplified image management is what Citrix offers, so that you actually spend less time on updates and app maintenance, and an optimized workspace environment and performance, which actually Citrix brings on the table, hosted over the WVD environment. Similarly, talking about VMware, all of you would have heard about the VMware Horizon Cloud. So key value adds actually include again hybrid support from VMware, simplified management through a single management plane, and user environment management also through that single plane itself. So you can actually use that management plane to control who are the users. You can integrate it back with the Active Directory, and you actually get a GUI which is very comfortable to use, and actually provide you support for multiple protocols. Going forward, we have built, while we have built WVD as a finished service, we recognize the need for, specialized and managed solutions. So Microsoft has fostered a robust ecosystem of system integrator partners. You can see the name of Techjockey over there, who is one of our, preferred partners for WVD implementations. Then we have a lot of ISVs and value-added partners who actually provide you, their own greenfield solutions over and above WVD environment. Say, for example, Nerdio is a small organization who provides you a management plane to ease your control of how you operate and manage the overall WVD environment. You can easily add users, you can integrate it back to AD, you can have an invigilation through which you can actually shadow certain users. Say, for example, you have a use case where, say, a manager needs to actually see what his team is doing real time. So it actually provides you a shadow based feature where a manager can real time get access of the remote desktop environment, which say A or B or C of his employees is actually using. So there are multiple partners and multiple solutions available. And last but not the least, we have tie up with a lot of hardware partners. So I mean, you might be thinking that I don't have laptops for my, and employees. What do I do? So you don't need to invest in that. We have hardware partners who we can help you tie up with, and you can actually procure dumb terminals, or Techjockey can help you procure them. Dumb terminals from HP, Lenovo, all of these are partners. Some few names which Microsoft is directly partnering with are mentioned on the slide here. Um, that is the overall, overview from my side on Windows Virtual Desktop. It's a great offering. Over the last 4 weeks, I personally have been involved in multiple implementations across varied industries: healthcare, manufacturing, IT services, BPO setup. All of these are very focused industries. Finance industries, a lot of banks are moving. NBF is share khans of the world. All of these are very actively pursuing and implementing WVD as a solution because it is cheap, and it is cheaper compared to a lot of your on-premises or other vendor solutions which you have, because you don't need to invest in RDP cals here. Just the OS based licensing is what you require, and you are up and running in no time. I'll hand over to Ashit, and Lalit will run you through a actual demo of how a WVD environment looks like, and how you can provision this while using our Azure portal. And then we'll take the questions at the end. Over to you, Lalit. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Param sir. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen here. Just let me know and you able to see it.
Yes, you can see.
Oh, okay. So hi all, this is Lalit Kumar. I'm just trying to show a small demo on WVD. So for the in this demo, I'm just covering off the Active Directory requirement, Azure AD Connect application. I will run through with the wizard that how we can create or provision WVD machine in the Azure portal. And yes, the most important thing is user access. How actually the user is going to access the WVD environment at the home while sitting at this lockdown period. So before going further, I'm just trying to convey the basic re- requirement of WVD here, that you need to set up at least a VPN or connection between your own data center and a Azure infrastructure. You can even go for a express route, so that we are in a position to at least deploy one additional domain controller on a Azure platform. So now I'm moving to my Active Directory part. So here you can see my some of the test user that I have created, test 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And last but not least, I have one admin account also, which I have used in order to configure my Azure AD Connect application. This account must have the enterprise admin permission. So yeah, so Azure AD application is actually to sync user from my Active Directory to Azure portal. Now I'm showing you the Azure portal. Right. So here you can see the user section in which I have already synced my few of the some test users. So at the source, you can check it is showing Windows Server AD. So these are the user who are synced from my Active Directory, and few users are showing Azure AD Connect. So these are the user which I have created directly on my portal itself. Now, how we can create our WBD environment. So we just, as Param already discussed, that it is very easy to deploy. So we just need to create a resource on a marketplace. We need to search for Windows virtual desktop. Yeah, and just create. So it will start a wizard on which we need to enter some of the information. So like that, in a desktop type, you can see pooled or a personal. Pooled here means a multi-session a machine, or a personal means a persistent machine, which is specific to the one user only. Other configuration that you need to put on is by selecting the profile of the image that you are going to deploy. So profiling here, it actually means the type of CPU, RAM, disk space that you are going to use or you want to deploy for your user. Some other settings like choosing the image type, like Param already shows that you can go with multi-session with Office 365 Pro Plus. Even you can go with simple machine which has Windows 10 multi-session. And if you are going for a persistent or a personal computing, then you need to choose for Windows 10 only. Some more configuration that we need to put. Even we can specify the OU once my deployment get uh, started, it will join my computer in my AD and move that machine to the specific OU. So here are also some of the information. I'm not going in a detail of by filling up all this information because it will going to take some time. After filling up all this information, we just need to create. Okay. So I already have two pools created. First one is a Windows client -Z0, which has a Windows 10 multi-session machine, and I have another tenant configured which has uh, a WVD client Office 365. So I can show you while creating these resources, it will directly go into my Active Directory and join that machine to my AD. So here you can see that both deployment has been created and joined into domain. So now comes the user experience, how actually user going to experience or how user actually access these WVD machines. We just need to go to the URL. I'm opening a window on Cognito client URL. So I will show you now. It will ask for two type of authentication. First one is a Azure, and second one is of your directly AD credentials. So I'm typing it my pass username and password. Once login, it will show me the host pool. Yes, here is the host pool. So host pool is actually represent a logical grouping of VMs that can be configured for providing pooled and a persistent connection to WVD. So this user will have access to this specific host pool. Once I click, it will ask me for access. Now launching. Now I need to put in my domain credential here. As this domain is not web verified, as it is my demo session. So in actual scenario, these both credential are the same one. Username and password again. Now I'm logging into the actual Windows client machine like that we use in our offices. So I'm maximizing the screen and here you go. So you can see a user are able to access the complete Windows 10 domain joined machine while browser, while going to use the same via browser itself. So now you can see all the stuff, or if you want to go, you can access your on-premises applications and all. So I'm signing out, and I will show you my second host pool, which has Office 365 Pro Plus. Second user, domain credentials. So now this user is having the access only to the Office 365 host pool. So yes, 02. Once I click on allow, I need to again put in my username and password here. And password again. Yeah. So again, maximized, and you can see the host pool which has Office 365 Pro Plus. You can access Word, Excel, PowerPoint as per your need. So I have a third type of account also in which I have hosted the application. I'm not talking about the direct Windows machine. I'm talking about the application. If you want, you can just a specific application, or you can say a app virtualization. So I'm entering my third user credential. Uh, yeah, so now you can see this user will have the access of app virtualization or the application which I have virtualized for this user only. So again, you can go and access. You need to put in again your password. So for a complete information, you can get in touch with us. Username again. Yeah, here you go. So now you can see you're accessing complete Word application on top of the browser itself. So guys, this is it from my end. Back to Ashit sir.
Yeah, thank you, Lalit, and thank you, Param. So I think we would like to move on the Q&A section. We have enough time left. So Param, there is one question on the chat, which is, can you give this is Mr. Hatim Dohadwala. Can you give one more example, some non-IT example?
Yeah, so
Param?
manufacturing, can you hear me? Manufacturing is a great example actually. So I have a customer who has SAP running on his premises, and a lot of his finance team guys are actually utilizing SAP applications. Similarly, he also has some design applications which some of his designers are utilizing. Now he has implemented WVD to access SAP for his finance team, and we have partnered with Citrix actually to deploy a solution for specific. I think he has around 40 users for who are designers. For those 40 users who are now able to access the design application, which was currently not enabled for work from home. So what we did was we actually set up a site-to-site VPN from Azure to their office network, and through that we actually could give them an extension of their office network itself, so they could actually easily access files and folders as they could do from office, and the deployment is running seamlessly. So BFSI also is another example, for example. So we have a WVD deployed with one of the cooperative banks who recently went live I mean, they went live actually before the COVID setup hit us. So they have WVD deployed in their office network. So the core banking application is hosted on WVD, and it is actually rendered as a golden image to concurrent. I think they have around 50 plus employees who are sitting in the same branch. So for that particular branch, we have created a WVD pool, hosted the core banking application over there, and they are using dumb terminals to access that. So there's no CPU per se, which each of the banking tellers has over there. It is just a dumb terminal from where they are accessing the central application. This helps. Thanks, Atim.
Yeah, I think it does. Mr. Hatim, if you have any further question on that, feel free.
There's another question which says how WVD will work if not having the domain environment. So if you don't have an AD already, so Techjockey will be able to set up the AD environment for you. So that can be done. So we'll build a new Active Directory on Azure, which will include the corresponding CNAME and all your employees' usernames, and accordingly a Active Directory can be created, and that can be utilized to authenticate your WVD environment.
Mr. Rajesh Kumar, you had asked me my contact. I'm just pasting it in the chat.
So Hitesh also says there are high-end graphics developers and animators. How is it going to be used? So Hitesh, as I said, that for high-end applications, we have partnership with both Citrix and VMware. Citrix. So currently there are offers also going on, as in Citrix is providing free licenses for testing along with Microsoft WVD because of the BCP planning, because we are aware that Microsoft is aware that a lot of the companies are currently investing heavily in your BCP, and yes, there can be a business impact. So Citrix has tied up with Microsoft. They are giving free licenses at least to test all your deployments. And going forward also, Citrix license is not very costly. So for all the high intensive graphic users, you can continue using Citrix license over, which will be deployed over WVD, and it will take care of all your graphic intrinsic applications, which you will be able to utilize. Like I gave an example right now. A manufacturing organization who I'm referring of, they are actually utilizing an AutoCAD based deployment, and they have actually deployed Citrix on WVD, through which they are accessing that. WVD cookbook, yes, I can share some. Maybe I will share with Ashit, and Ashit can forward it across to all the people who have attended this webinar. Yashpal. So there are some ways and some publicly available, you know, web links which I will share across.
Param, can you check for more, because I'm somehow not able to see all the questions.
Yeah, I'm going. I'm checking. So Dilbag, you are asking that what are the best ways to support, monitor, handle the data center, which includes your servers, your design servers, your Active Directory, and ERP while working from home. So my question to you is that who are the users for this? So currently, if there is anything on premises, what we can do is we through a normal VDI access, we can create a site-to-site VPN on Azure, and through that we can provide you the direct administrator access. So from there, you can actually gain an entry into your on-premises office network, through which you will be able to control, manage, remotely manage the and monitor the server health, your tools which are deployed, your servers. But obviously, you will not be able to physically do anything over there, because if your office access is restricted, how WVD or any virtualized environment can help is that it can create a network extension of your office on-premises setup to the central WVD setup, and through that you can actually have access also given to all your admin team or your infrastructure team for them to actually gain access and manage the overall environment. Hitesh asks, what is the minimum bandwidth required? Typically, any 1 Mbps speed is good enough. The minimum broadband criteria which India grants, which India qualifies for broadband is 16 Mbps. WVD actually takes not more than 1 Mbps speed to access this. We have done multiple pilots for manufacturing organizations who are very far away from major cities, and it is working extremely in a classic way over there. How data is being shared between WVD? I said that data, whenever it is shared, it is encrypted using a 256-bit encryption key. You have the flexibility to utilize your own encryption keys also if required, and you can use Azure Key Vault to save those keys so that they are kind of saved in a very secure manner. Prateek asks, what can be the solutions of virtual desktop for a law firm without having the actual you. So for a law firm, again, Prateek, what I understand is that your major applications which you utilize will be certain document management systems, contract management systems, and certain small other applications, maybe some certain legal applications or from your LOB functions, functionality which are actually legal functionality based. So all of them can be hosted centrally on a WVD setup, say for your office setup, and all your people who want to access them can be given access of that one single golden image, and you can actually very nicely utilize the concurrency aspect over here and save a lot on the costing. So, Dilbag, you asked that, users are working through VPN, how to keep them safe. So, unfortunately, yes, firewall is the only solution, but then obviously all the users who are working through VPN, for them, you are providing network port access, which is, as per Microsoft parlance, is not a secure way to do that, because the more number of ports you open, the more prone you get to getting attacked by ransomware, or on the DDoS side, on the network layer side. So also another thing is, when you're providing a VPN access, you don't have any control or central visibility on what your employee is accessing. So at the end, he is getting complete access of your network, right? So obviously you can provide some AD based controls, but then whatever he can do, he will do, and he can copy whatever data possible on his machine, and basically has complete access to your environment. So from that perspective, we recommend you to move to a WVD setup in a concurrent model, and provide only relevant accesses to those people, to all your team members. WVD is not a VPN based setup, so that's where we don't. It gives you the immense level of security which you provide, which you want. Rajesh, you asked some example of small industries or Punjab focusing industry. This is very frankly, WVD is area intensive. Small industries can be as small as some small manufacturing units who are using some legacy ERP solutions, or some small IT companies, or small legal firms, small finance, small NBFCs. So even to the extent of, so WVD doesn't have any criteria, so you can start with a minimum of 10 people deployment also. So which is very different from our competition. Very frankly, majority of the competitive solutions which you will refer to will have a minimum criteria of say 50 or 100 seats or 200 seats. WVD doesn't have that. That's a very good thing. So you can start with as basic as 10 number of people getting access for your WVD deployment, and it's very cheap, right? So for say a 10 member team, you'll not be paying more than 6-7 thousand rupees when I talk only on the WVD pricing. Licensing cost may be extra if you don't have Windows 10 license, but then this is the level of costing which we are talking about. Uh, Deepak says, how can we deploy other basic software that actual user needs? Example, Mozilla, Chrome, Adobe Reader, etc. So Deepak, there are two ways in which you can do that. One, if you feel that all your central users need access to the same application, then you can have a golden image created, centrally deploy that as an admin on WVD, and then give access for that golden image in a concurrence model to all your employees. Second way is, if you feel that there are certain specific users who have a very variable deployment history, that for example they are say developers who need to deploy new products, new applications on a daily basis. So there is an option to give a dedicated desktop based virtualization access to them, instead of a pooled access. So they actually, for a single user, you can give like 1 core 2 GB RAM kind of a machine, and which will be accessed only by him, and which will not be pooled, so that he can actually deploy any executable or any software which he wants to on his or her machine. Yes, you're asking design applications running in WVD. WVD is you consider WVD as your own server, which is available to you, which is remotely available. So any application which works and as an executable on your on premises can run on WVD. There's no um, there's no limitation to that, or it's not a WVD is not a it's not a very constrained OS. It's basically just a platform through which you are virtualizing your already existing environment for your users. Any recommendation for site-to-site VPN? Do we have to purchase externally? No, Azure. Actually, while we do this, we provide you with the VPN deployment ourselves. So Techjockey will be doing that deployment. So there will be a site-to-site VPN. So Azure provides that, which we can create from your data center. So we'll have certain. We'll ask you to open certain ports through which that site-to-site VPN will be created to Azure, and that will be completely secured and redundant, which so it provides you with a strict SLA also, which is financially backed. So you don't need to purchase anything externally. Azure VPN will serve the purpose for you. So what else? Himanshu asked, does this use ephemeral disks or persistent disks? Idea is to maintain that post reboot. Exactly. So uh, we have the persistent disks which are available. So you actually can choose what kind of disks do you want to deploy for the user base access. So for both for concurrent as well as for your dedicated pool of resources, you can actually choose what is the disk size which you want, whether it is SSD. So Microsoft also gives you the benefit of choosing between disk options. You have hard disks, HDDs, uh, you have you have solid state drives, and as well as you have premium SSDs also available. So they are persistent disks. The data will be maintained post reboot also. OS which is supported, Imanchu, currently we are supporting Windows only. So Windows 10 OS license can be deployed. Is Windows 10 end client OS is something which is currently deployed. We also support Windows 7 VDA, which so I had a slide which talked about the licensing piece. Let me go back to that and display that for your reference. Or I will share this as a detailed, mentioning. I will share this as a detailed information with Ashit, who can share it with you. So necessarily Windows 7 and Windows 10 is what is supported right now. Gaurav asks, hey Param, do we have can do video editing on WVD, because in media organization video ROW file is very heavy. It will take very high end performance machines. Hey Gaurav, as I said that you can actually render any application on WVD. For your heavy application, currently you will be helping you with you'll have to use either Citrix or VMware as a solution, underlying solution to deploy that. So you need to consider that as a part of your ROI calculations. But as I said, currently Citrix is not very costly, and we also have like an offer going on right now from Citrix and VMware both. So you can test it out and then check it for yourself as to how will the experience be at your own end. So Akhil asks, any option to separate users for access different software access like designers, normal users? Yes, Akhil. So say for example, you have 20 set of users who are designers and then another for 50 set of users who are normal users. You can create two separate WVD pools to take the benefit of concurrency. And for one set of users, you can give access to all the applications which are required for the software team, for designer team. And for the normal users, you can just provide simple browser or other application based access. And you can segregate them into two different WVD pools, which will be mapped to the single active directory which you have for your organization. So from manageability perspective, that doesn't make a lot of difference. So there's a question. I guess a personal Apple Mac with an employee can use it via Safari with no compatibility issues. Sumesh, as I said, the end client OS license needs to be deployed. So if it is a user-based license, so I have not tested this on Mac. We can do a POC to test it. I think if we only provide a browser-based virtualization, we'll be able to access it, provided that user has a user-based license, which the administrator can put in as a part of the deployment. So while doing the deployment, administrator will have to put in the license keys for all the users who he wants to provide access to. So Yash, the data, there are two ways in which you can do that. So one, for concurrent users, we can define separate storage, which can be a blob, or as I said, disk storage is also available. So there is no local server. So you can actually choose where to do that. Say, for example, you have an office setup which you want to extend on WVD. So you can actually provide that a network extension through a site-to-site VPN on WVD, and then you can use that as a local server storage to store your data. However, in a normal WVD environment, if you don't want to extend your network, you can provision a delta storage option, which can be a blob or a persistent disk storage to store your central data for your organization. Another way also is, say, for example, your users have to your users need certain storage only for the tasks which you are doing, and then you don't need to persistently store that. So your dumb terminals which are available, they also come with some storage requirements. So you can actually choose if you are actually wanting to procure dumb terminals, that I want the dumb terminal with some storage capability. And WAD inherently allows you to, as I said, um, allows you to have both concurrent and dedicated based user deployment. So you can either give a dedicated deployment and a virtualization of a complete desktop to a user. You can grant storage access to him separately, or we can have a pooled access given, where a central storage can be maintained on the WED pool for all the users to actually utilize that. And you can, as I said earlier, you can extend your office based network and use your office file server storage also.
Param, can you see any more questions? Because I can't see one in the chat.
Yes, so Yash, I understand what you're saying. You know, design files are very large files, so design files working properly in WVD. As I said, yes, you can use central storage option for design files. I don't know how big a team do you have, but then for all the team members, so over here, the ideal solution is Citrix. We utilize Citrix to have a seamless access given to you, and all the design files, as I said, for this manufacturing setup organization, we have already done that deployment. So for design files, you can have a central blob storage, which where the files are stored, and through Citrix you actually can just quickly access that with minimum latency and store it back onto the blob storage itself. There are other ways, Yash, in which we can, if there is, say, if you have a global team, for example, I'm not sure how big a team do you have. Say if you have a 10,000 member team, for example, one team sitting in Bombay, Pune, Singapore, US, all of them accessing those files. There are ways in which we can provide you architecture in which people globally can access that through a central WVD deployment. Also, at a minimum latency, there are other architectural models which come into play, like CDN, like Redis Cache, which we can deploy for making the seamless experience available to you. Somesh, WVD print can access, you can access to a local printer. So it is your local printer access can be attached to your end client OS machine which you are accessing. And the administrator needs to give you control to kind of give you the printer access. Without an admin control or permission, you will not be able to do that. So I think there is a question for you, Ashit. Prateek says that can someone from Techjockey discuss in detail the options for virtual desktop for a boutique law firm?
into taxation, compliances, and litigations. He's shared his email ID also, prateekgupta@sharnamlegal.com. You might want to get in touch with Prateek once.
Sure, we will do that. Raghav, can you see the chats, because I'm somehow not able to see the chat. There's some problem in my network.
I think we are all done with questions. If there are any other questions, please type it
Okay.
on the chat window, folks.
Okay, I think we're at the top of the hour anyways. So thank you very much. Thank you, Param. I think that was a great session, and I think you answered pretty much everything. Thank you, Ravi, and thank you all, dear customers, for joining. We really look forward to working with you. We'll reach out to you with a second round of communication on this, and then we'll have one-on-one interaction with you as required. Thank you so much for joining.